What's going on, YouTube? Pat.
Ricky here. Eric.
And we're with 434 Off-Road. We're about to give you a how-to with the tire ball installs for racing. If you run tire balls with side-by-sides, quad strikes, whatever, the concept will be the same, but this is your official how-to with, what size tires are these?
32-inch tires on 14-inch wheels.
32-inch tires on 14-inch wheels. Now, mind you, different size tires will be obviously different size tire balls. So let's get started with the video.
All right, so first you want to get yourself, well, how we like to do is prop the wheel and tire up on sawhorses. The wheel will fall down inside the tire and it gives you a nice gap right here to get the balls in. We also use some wooden blocks to spread it out a little better for stacking your balls in there. So instead of nice sawhorses, the junkier the better, you know, a broken leg and some zip ties, that's what you're looking for. So now that we got our tire propped up on the hot horses and the wheel dropped down in, we're ready to start putting the tire balls in, and we'll show you how we stack them in there.
Awesome.
So these tire balls were already installed one time before, so they're already partially inflated. They'll come pretty much flat when you get them out of the box. You want to inflate them a good bit just so they're not all loose and compressed. You want them blown up all the way, but no real crazy pressure in there.
Solid.
Make sure the tire's clean and there's no junk in there.
Yeah,
Yes.
like Eric was, this is a brand new tire. We know it's clean, we still checked it out, but you want your tire as clean as possible. You want to clean your wheel. You don't want any dirt getting in here. You don't want anything that could be chafing on these balls. When we took these out of the other tires that they came out of, I cleaned them up really good beforehand and put them in a trash bag until we got to this point here. They also give you lubricant with the balls. We got ours from a company that came with the lubricant here. So Eric checked out the tire, made sure it was clean, and he put some of that lubricant in the tire. And now we're gonna start stacking these in there one by one, and they're gonna be standing up in there like this. So I'll get two balls here to give you an idea. It's hard to see once you're going. You're gonna stack them up in here like this. They're gonna be inside the tire like that. So your valve is facing up and towards the wheel. That's so you can get the needles in for the tool to fill them. If they're not like that, you're not gonna be able to get the needle in there. And you don't wanna land sideways like this. That was one of the things we kind of learned on our own, and there was no real good videos. So we figured it out that they wanna go in like that.
Perfect.
We're also using wooden blocks here. We're gonna make sure any dirt or debris off those blocks we get out of there, but those blocks just help to get the first couple in there. Once you get the first couple balls in the tire, we can remove the blocks. It just helps hold the tire up. So here we go.
Right on. Wooby dooby.
You say a couple other things, you know. What are those things made of?
Here, feel it. This one's clean. They're not like rubber, but they're not like plastic either. It's like, I don't know, it's just maybe just a hard rubber. I don't know. It's not like your typical, like, it's not like tire rubber, you know?
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll get her in there. We'll get her. That's good. I'm gonna stay.
Huh? Is it falling? That's a little better. A little better.
So the key here is to lube up the tire balls. It creates less friction, otherwise some dirt, debris that gets in there. That's why you want them clean, otherwise it'll be like sandpaper rubbing together. No bueno.
No one wants grit on their balls.
No grit on the balls.
You don't want any grit on the balls.
We gotta get them
Shifted a
kind
little
of
bit.
at a little bit of a bianni to
I'm gonna
get
get the octopus ready.
to get the octopus
And then
on.
we can have them as we plug them in, maybe? What do you think? What's that? We can straighten them up as we plug them in? I think they're good. All right. So we got this tool here. Each one of these lines is going to go to an individual ball. And this is how we get equal pressure in all our balls. And I'm not actually sure on the actual name for this tool. A friend of ours, part of the Gurge team,
Nice.
brought it up, Mike, and it works awesome. But we'll show you how it works.
Right on. You know where that's the box that came in right there?
He got that box for it.
Oh, okay.
He got that case for it. So what we're doing here is we're just some of the lube that they provided us here. We're lubing up all these needles.
Oh, it's okay.
So it's easy to bend these little needles. They're just basically like a needle for filling a basketball.
Right.
So we lube them up, and this way it's it's harder to get one bent, getting it in there. They slide in a little better.
Gotcha.
So there's 20 lines on here, and we have 16 balls. So like I said before, everyone's going to go to a ball. Well, 4 of them aren't, obviously, because we only have 16 balls for this setup. Depending on tire size and size of balls, there might be more, there might be less, but we're going to put these 4 to the side. Now, to just kind of try to keep an order to this, what Eric and I usually do as we've been doing these tire balls, and there was a lot of trial and error. We messed up a couple times. We self-taught ourselves with this, but we'll just go in order to kind of keep them, kind of know which one is going to which ball, and we usually go from top to bottom, and just go all the way back until we get to the gauge here. So I'm gonna start giving Eric lines. That should be all. I don't know if you want to get a shot of that, or Eric's on his last one. I don't know where to go with.
I missed one?
Oh, you must have, because there's 16 balls, right? Or is this the tire where there's only 15? It could be the tire where there's 15. I thought the tire that had 15 and it was the one we didn't blow out. We popped the ball when we were installing these for a race. There were 16 balls per tire, and well, I accidentally put a hole in one. So one of the 4 tires has 15 balls.
It happens.
It does. Is there 15 in this? This could be the 15 ball tire. Okay, so we're gonna mix in. Where's that last one then? That one there. And that one should be that right there. So these 5 I'm not using. Don't want to touch that valve. So now you can get a good, if you want to get a good shot at that, you can see.
Yeah. All the valves, all the needles of the octopus are in the tire balls, as you can see. Yep. Perfect.
So like as I was saying before, when we were installing these last time, I popped one of the 16 balls. If you do pop a ball, it's not a big deal. You could take that pop ball out, but you have to go back and put more air in the rest of them. Because if you pop that ball, the other balls expand to fill up the void. If the other balls expand to fill up the void, it drops their air pressure. So it's not a big deal if you pop a ball. Like I said, I was running 15 balls in one tire and 16 in the other 3 for a race. No big deal. You just have to remove that ball and put air in the other balls. And if you do pop one in a race, it's a good idea to get it out of there. If you know, I mean, if you've shredded up tires, you might have a busted ball, get it out of there. And it's just gonna chafe on everything and take more balls out. other than that, we're ready to put some air in these things.
Awesome.
Yeah, they don't gotta be perfect. I mean, you can see some of them are twisted a little more than others and tilt a little more than others. When you fill them up and the lube on them,
They straighten themselves out.
Right.
they're gonna wheel around wherever they want in there.
So, I'll show you what we got here. So we have our gauge down here to regulate the pressure so you can't, I mean, we watch the gauge up here and that tells you what's going in the balls, but you could set this gauge down here so you can't accidentally fill them up if you're just giving it the beans and not paying attention, but we pay attention pretty close. So we set this just a little over 20. We're gonna do 18 PSI in the balls. Now, they're all just inflated at random pressures just to get them in there. So what we like to do, we noticed going back, we were going back with a pressure gauge when we first started doing this. We'd fill them up to the pressure on here just from Jump Street. Whatever we filled them up, put them in there, put an 18 PSI, whatever. Well, they'd all be random pressures. They'd be off a couple PSI, like none of them were the same. So what we started doing is we air them up. Like right now, they're all really low. They're just inflated. You can see right here, you know, there's hardly anything in them. Well, what we were doing is we were gonna take them up to about 10 PSI. And then we're gonna take one of these lines we're not using and we're gonna bleed them off down around 5. So the balls that have more pressure and the balls that have less pressure, it'll kind of equalize them all out. And then we'll take it up to 18 PSI. And if we take a pressure gauge to one of these balls or all these balls, they'll all be really close, probably within like a quarter PSI or so. So that's how we do it. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, if you want them to be like really close, that's what we like to do. But if not, they're probably gonna be off a little bit. So now we're gonna air it up to 10 PSI. We can open up our valves that are going in. That one likes to spring back. And this one is out, right? This is our one that's out. Which one is that? There's our 5. It's this one here. Do the 15 here. Yeah, so that one will be closed. So we should be good to go. Now we're gonna take it up to about 10 PSI. We're a little over 10. And that'll bleed off quick. Now just pushing air back out through the tool here. And we'll get to that. Because once you get to your pressure, you'll see we're gonna switch all these valves off real quick as it'll bleed back off through this here. So right now we got them up over 10. Now I'm gonna take this one that we're not using because we only have 15 balls, not 16. And we're gonna bleed them off below 5 PSI. Now when we go to air it up to 18 PSI, we have them all really close to the same pressure. So now when we take them up to the pressure we want to run at, they'll all be right there, I would say within a quarter to a half PSI.
Awesome.
Maybe we're being a little anal, but I know when we started doing this, we self-taught ourselves and there really wasn't a lot of detail on the videos that we did find. Maybe there's a good video out there that we just didn't see, but just trying to give anybody a heads up that wants to run balls.
Yeah. Save some of the learning curve.
Yeah, we screwed it up a couple times before we got it.
Right.
All right, we're down at about 5 PSI now. I want to shut this one off. Now we're going to take them all up to 18 PSI. And once we get to 18 PSI, you're going to see me shut all these valves so we don't lose any pressure. We know we locked in the PSI that we want to run.
You can? That's little... Oh, we did notice.
All right. Now we have 18 PSI in all these balls.
Awesome.
Shut off all them valves pretty quickly, and that's all locked in there. I usually take a touch over. You lose just a little bit when you're pulling the needles out, but I mean it's like nothing. So we'll get rid of this tool. We're done with the octopus.
Awesome. The octopus.
Yep. And we used to check all the balls after this, but we have it pretty dialed in now after a lot of trial and error. We did screw this up a couple times, but like I said, we pretty much self-taught ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, we spit on them with the lube there.
We dipped them.
All right. So we're gonna set this to the side. Before they get put away, we're gonna clean it up nice. This is an awesome tool that a good buddy lended to us. So
Now you can see they're all inflated. They're all
All same
pretty
PSI, all uniform. Looking good.
roll around in there.
Perfect.
So now once we get to this point, you want to be careful because you could move in the tire iron, you could pop a ball. So what we all like to do is come down in here.
Don't forget that lube in there, no?
Yeah, don't forget to put the rest of your lube in that they give you. And that's so the balls don't chafe on each other as bad. So we dumped all our lube in there that they gave us with the balls. And then what I like to do is go in here and I grab the rim. Because right now that rim's sitting down in there, you go handling this tire, you can pop one of them balls out and you're not gonna get it back in there with all those balls with that much pressure in them. You're gonna have to deflate the balls and basically start all over. So I grab the wheel and slide that up. And now that wheel's slid up and those balls can't pop out of there. And then we have to bring it over to our compressor tool for the ring. Holding onto the rim, get it on our tool here. And this tool is actually meant for bigger wheels than 14s. It works, but you'll see like, you give them like a 15-inch wheel or bigger, it works a lot better. 14s, the ring, when you set it on there, it's pretty far out the tire, it works, but it gets hard to seat the feed down in the rim here, which will probably happen. So now, once you have one of these tools, do not forget to set the beadlock ring on there. Because once you get it seated, it's inside the tool. You're obviously not gonna drop the ring on there. We've done that. But we're gonna grab one of the rings that's damaged the least, because we have a bunch of messed up beadlocker rings. This will suffice.
You got one other one sitting somewhere?
I do,
That
but
we can-
I think the other one's worse.
Oh, okay.
I think the other one's worse. That last race chewed up some wheels on us.
Yeah. Did mine mess with the air pressure? That's when we found out we had to like check the balls. Like gauge.
Doobie doobie. Very important.
This is another tool provided by Mike that we use a lot. So we lube this bearing every time we use it. We hammer on pretty good. Mike is awesome for letting us use this thing because we put it to work pretty often in the garage. You want to check that setup out?
Awesome. So everything's
So, I mean, obviously, like a lot of you are probably familiar with just like a standard beadlock setup. I mean, it's just so easy. You can just slam the ring on, whatever, and air it up and seat the back bead. With the balls in it, you're not going to be able to just push the tire down and drop the bolts in. It's just too much pressure and it's too far away. So you need a tool. You can come up with all kinds of different methods. We were lucky enough to get this off of a buddy of ours. And this will compress the tire down to the rim, and then we can get all of our beadlock bolts started. And once all our beadlock bolts, we have a few threads in there, we know it's safe to come off of it without ripping threads out of the wheel. Then we'll come off of this, and we'll torque all of our bolts out.
awesome.
Cut for a beer.
Cut for a beer.
Beer and cigar quick.
Fancy knee pad.
Yeah, it's right there between the fridge there.
Yeah, that's what it's there for. Legit.
Oh man,
Yeah.
So now we're gonna run this down, get it, try to get it seated. Like I said, it's a smaller wheel and a bigger tool, so sometimes we gotta help line it up with the screwdrivers and the pry bar.
really bad.
It's not that bad. You might be able to get it in the first try. Little screwdriver gets in there pretty easy. And when you're doing this is how I pop the ball the last time we were doing it. Just gotta be careful you don't slip in there with a screwdriver or pry ball. You take one out.
Yeah.
Then you gotta take it all back apart and start from scratch with the air pressure.
Right.
Not bad there. I think that'll go. I think we got something. Right here, maybe a little bit.
That's that inside the edge of the bead.
Yeah, we only have this problem with the 14-inch rims. Once you go to a 15 or bigger, it goes right on there every time perfect. Everybody's running 15s now, and I've had these wheels for a couple years, so I just kind of stuck with them. This will be their last race they're gonna see. Got some ZRPs coming for the old Turbo R.
Nice.
With the 3.5s on them. I think that'll go, bud. What about this right here? I think that'll go.
Sure, right there, it's gonna go.
That'll go. That'll smash down. So now we're ready to start dropping some bolts in this beadlock ring. So we're just using a cap of the same lube we use on the balls. Just if something was to get inside the wheel, it's not anything that's gonna break down that rubber. Seated, and you got your good bit of threads in there. You know, you can come off on the tool, and you know it's not going to rip your bolts out of your wheel. You definitely want to make sure you got a few threads in there, because it's, you know, they're like grade 8 bolts in aluminum.
Yeah.
Go back over to our sawhorses without falling over. And now we're going to torque these down. So, I mean, we run a lot of different wheels, but we typically run them all to 15 foot-pounds. We've never had a bolt strip out of any brand of wheels that we've been running. We run several brands. We've never had a bolt strip out. We've never had a wheel leak. So Eric's getting the torque wrench set up, and we're going to go around this and crank all these bolts down to about 15 foot-pounds, and then we know we got equal pressure on the ring the whole way around. We know we're not going to strip anything out, and we know our tire's not going to leak.
Nice.
Because the balls are like a secondary thing. People that don't know much about them, you don't really rely on the balls. That's if you get a hole in your carcass and your carcass pressure's gone, then you can finish the race on the balls. If it wasn't for the balls in the last race, we would have had 2 buggies drop out because of blown tires.
Right.
That's it, man. We got them all torqued down, but I'd also like to take a moment. Pat, you have to show them your hoodie. You have to show the audience your hoodie.
Oh, the hoodie.
Yes. Look at that. We gotta get one of those to play with soon.
Yeah, buddy.
Soon enough.
eBay special. Can't remember where,
Yeah.
but
Hell yeah, after this little race crap.
Quads, trikes, side by sides.
But yeah, so we got this all torqued down. So now we just gotta put some air in it and seat that back bead, and that's a wrap.